Hi everyone, welcome back. We're doing another tag today. It is mid-year, officially. So we're gonna be doing the mid-year freak out tag. I don't know if I've actually done this one before because a lot of the time the middle of the year just flies by for me, but we're gonna do it today, even if I have done it before. So I feel like this one's fallen down. That's because she is. Oh well. My space buns are straight up falling out of my head, so hi doggy. Don't mind it. If it fucking falls, it falls. We're just doing our best over here, okay? Okay, well, there is a fair amount of questions in this, so let's just dive in. As always, if you see me looking down, I have my phone here. Just reading the questions, okay? All right. So the first question is, what's the best book I've read so far in 2023? I wrote down The Light Pirate for several reasons. First of all, it was, I think, one of the most unique in terms of the plot and the premise and everything that I've read so far this year. And I was pleasantly surprised by this one. So I did mention it kind of recently in one of my videos, but The Light Pirate is a climate dystopian, I want to say. Takes place in Florida, deals with climate change, hurricanes, rising sea level. It's a beautiful book. I love this author's voice and the way she writes. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. So for that reason, I gave it the best book so far of 2023. I've read a lot of like fantasy and fantasy romances and manga this year, but I just don't feel like any of them are quite that good yet. So they were all just kind of like, they were good, but they weren't like amazing. So they weren't the best. I think that's the best book I've read so far this year. And then the second question is, what's the best sequel I've read in 2023 so far? And I put Queen of Myth and Monsters. I'm really enjoying this series, and I think in terms of sequels, it's one of the few I've actually read this year. I've actually started a lot of series this year, or just read a lot of standalones. Haven't gotten to a lot of sequels this year, actually. And for that reason, I didn't have a lot to choose from. And out of all the ones that I've read this year, this one was so far the best. Question number 3, what's a new release that I haven't read yet, but I need to, or want to, by the end of the year? And that is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This just came out, and I'm dying to read it. Dying like I might pick it up like now. Kind of dying to read it. This is by the same author who wrote No Exit, so if you are familiar with that book, it is pretty popular now, especially because it got adapted. They are a thriller, psychological thriller writer, and this one is about an author who, from my understanding, stalks and or tries to murder the main character, who is someone who wrote a 1-star review for like a $1 ebook. Yeah. And it sounds like something that would be talked about on TikTok. So maybe a little close to reality, but I kind of like that. I'm expecting fast-paced, edge of my seat, very twist and turny, and straight up demented, scary characters. Because that's pretty much how No Exit was. So this author's writing tends to be really atmospheric, at least with No Exit, and I actually really enjoyed that. It was like the biggest reason that's one of my favorite books. Just like the isolation in No Exit mixed with like the blizzard conditions was excellent. Excellent choice. Question number 4 is, what is my most anticipated release for the second half of 2023? And I put down The Apothecary Diaries, number 8 and 9, because I'm dying to read these. I want to read them immediately when they come out. Number 5 was, what's my biggest disappointment so far this year? Ayashimon. I would have loved to continue reading this series, but it got canceled 3 volumes in, and I've read 1, and I'm just not going to bother. Because there's no way that this wraps in 3 volumes. So disappointed by that, because I think that was one of my top 3 anticipated mangas for the year. Question number 6 is, what's been the biggest surprise? A Night to Surrender by Tessa Dare. That has been the biggest surprise, because up until trying that series, I had kind of said, historical romance isn't for me. I thought, you know, a lot of times it's like dukes, duchesses, it's older, English, countryside, that vibe. Even if it's like, there's a lot of Scottish stuff too, like, you know, Outlander, stuff like that. I've tried to read the first book in Outlander. I've watched quite a bit of the show. The show is interesting enough, but once I stopped because I lost interest, I just never picked it back up. So yeah, I kind of had assumed and come to the conclusion, I guess, that historical romance was not for me until Tessa Dare entered my life. And now I am pleasantly curious about other authors in the genre. So that's been my biggest surprise, that I actually do like some historical romances. And that kind of segues right into question number 7. So do I have a favorite new author, debut, or new to me? Tessa Dare. Question number 8 is my newest fictional crush. And I said San Long. I don't know if, I think that's how you say his name. He is from Heaven Official's Blessing. I really like the main character too, but San Long is the main love interest in this. It's almost like Grumpy Sunshine vibes, because the main character is like maybe a little oblivious a little bit, and like kind of, and then San Long is technically well, I don't want to spoil anything, technically a not so great dude, but is like really kind of sweet, honestly, to the main character, and kind of like the who hurts you, touch them and you die kind of vibes. So I like him. I'm excited to keep reading that, mostly because of him. So question number 9 is my newest favorite character. I said Susanna Finch. I love her. She's from A Night to Surrender. Is the main character, I guess one of the two. And she is just an all-around feminist, I think. And I just, the part of the reason I loved that book so much was I loved her character. So question number 10 is a book that made you cry. Well, technically none of them so far. I've been lucky this year. None of them have made me cry. However, one that, like, had I read it at the opportune time, I guess, to make myself cry, would have probably made me cry, would be The Serpent in the Wings of Night, because I feel so bad for the main character, especially toward the end. Holy shit. That's all I'm gonna say. I feel really bad for her, and I'm actually reading the second book, the sequel, right now, and I feel even worse for her. So yeah, poor Araya. God. Question number 11 is a book that makes you happy. I said Legends and Lattes because, oh my God, every time I think about this book, I love the main two characters. I love the whole cast. Okay. But like, I swear to God, his name is Thimble. I've said this in another one. I'm like, what is his name? And let me Google it real quick. Yes, his name is Thimble. Okay. Okay. So I love I love the whole main cast, really, of this book. Sorry, I'm just like having flashbacks to reading it. So we all know Legends and Lattes. It's cozy fantasy, low stakes fantasy, I guess is what you could say. This is like a best example of like, if you're a character driven reader and you just are there to experience the characters mostly, and the plot is kind of like, it has to be there, but it doesn't have to be like the biggest thing in the world, the highest stakes in the world for you to care, then this book is definitely for you. Like I said, I love the whole cast, but Thimble, oh my God, I would die for Thimble. I would die for him. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. And I said The 9 Eyes of Lucian. I actually am trying to read the audiobook still, but I do actually own the hardback, and it's gorgeous. The book, I don't know how I feel about it. I think I need to restart it. I don't know. I need to set aside time for it, because when I started it, I just wasn't paying as much attention as I should have. So that being said, the cover of this is gorgeous. So it wins this award. And the last question is, what books, they said books, so what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I said Katie Roberts' Dark Olympus series, because I've only read the first one. And I think there's like at least 3, maybe 4 books aside from that I need to read, and I have them all. And I really liked the first one, and I've heard the series is really good, and I'm excited to read it. I just keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. So yeah, by the end of the year, I need to get caught up on that series because I have a feeling I'm really gonna like it. But yeah, that's all for me for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. As always, subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.